Hey, welcome to our channel, Rebels Unlimited, and with the new Star Wars Unlimited set of Lawless Time coming out next week for pre-release events, or this Friday to be exact, I thought let's do a fun look at the 18 new leaders and rank them on how I think they'll perform in a pre-release setting. Now this is solely for fun and analysis, as I will definitely get some of these leaders wrong, but I have always found these videos helpful as a way to just start looking at the leaders and how they can be used effectively. So in that light, leave a comment, tell me who you think will do well in a pre-release event, and tell me who you hope you get to play in your pre-release as well. And please, if you enjoy this content and want to help support our channel, smash that like and subscribe button. It really does help, and we appreciate it immensely. So sorry to just jump right into it. No fancy opening, but this is gonna be a long video, so we're gonna skew with the preliminaries and just jump into it. Quick primer: traditional ranking system of S through D, with S being the most sought after leaders for S-tier leaders being the most sought after leaders for your pre-release event. An A leader will work amazingly for a pre-release event as well, especially if you can get some synergistic cards that play into the leader's overall abilities. A B tier leader will work, but you'll definitely need the cards that work well with your leader and their ability. C or D tier leader just aren't worth your time unless that's all you got. But again, this is all speculation and for fun. Though I have played all of these leaders online so far, but still this is just to analyze and really just look at how they look overall, because I haven't had enough plays to fully, really get in and analyze these leaders. All right, well, let's get to it. First, let's look at the villainy leaders with Aura Singh. And where's Aura? There she's at. Okay. She's a 7 resource to deploy leader. So already that's a bit rough. She does hit as a 3 power 7 HP leader unit, but that is not that great either. However, when she does deploy, you may defeat a non-leader unit with 5 or less remaining hit points. Removal in a pre-release event is very important and impacts the board in a way that usually turns the tempo in your favor immensely. And even though she costs 7 resources, pre-release usually plays a bit slower. So I want to put her in the top of the B tier. All right, let's look at Agent Callus next. And he's a 5 resource to deploy leader with the following text. Action: 1 resource. Play a card from your hand, ignoring its aspect penalties. If Agent Callus's action didn't cost 1 resource, I would give them a much higher grade. But even that, 1 resource to take advantage of no aspect penalties seems risky. Maybe if you pull the Canon Jarrus or Zeb units. But Agent Callus deploys as a 3 power 6 HP leader unit. So when you deployed, he does have the same ability as his leader side, but also gains, when you play a heroism card, heal 2 damage from your base. So that last ability could be interesting, depending on your card pool. So with that, I think Agent Callus is definitely a top of the tier B leader. Okay, let's look at the command villainy leaders for the set. And first, let's look at Director Krennic. There he is. Another 7 resource to deploy leader. Director Krennic has the following ability. Action: exhaust, defeat a friendly unit, create a credit token. Okay, at first I was very skeptical of this leader, but the more I think about it, this leader could be awesome. However, it will be dependent, as always, but on your card pool. But I could see this leader being a beast in Limited and Premier. That being said, back to card pool. In most cases, you don't want to defeat your own units unless utilizing a specific strategy. With this leader, though, let's say you pull 2 or 3 honor-bound partisans from the new set that have a when played and when defeated ability that will work in your favor and create some cool synergies that could be hard for your opponent to deal with. Or if you are lucky enough to pull 2 or 3 Imperial Door Technicians, you could be stabilizing early in the game so that you can deploy at 7 resources as a 4 power, 9 HP leader unit that could curve into a Cad Bane unit or a Houndstooth or Fett's Fire Spray unit in the Space Arena. And finally, when deployed, Director Krennic has the ability to have a friendly unit deal damage equal to its power to an enemy unit. This leader is legit. I think this will be the first leader I'll put in the high A tier, if not the S tier. I'll need to think about it a little bit as we're going here. Okay, let's look at the new Boba Fett leader. And to be honest, to me at least, this leader does not seem very good, or they will need a lot of the right cards in the pool to help with their ability. A 5 resource to deploy leader with a 3 power, 6 HP stat line, which is okay. This leader just has too much setup for a pre-release build. A solid bottom of the tier C leader for me. And let's look at the aggression villainy leaders next, with Darth Vader. A 7 resource to deploy leader with a 6 power and HP stat line, which is solid. An ability that reads action, exhaust, discard a card from your hand, deal 1 damage to a unit or base. Okay, in Premiere, this leader could be amazing, but for a pre-release, I just don't think discarding is an effective strategy unless your card pool has a lot of card draw synergy. A C tier leader for me. Top of C though. Okay, next let's look at Sebulba. A 4 resource to deploy leader, which is kind of crazy. Their leader side ability reads action, exhaust, discard a card from your deck. A friendly unit gains raid 1 for this phase. Usually, again, in pre-release, because of the smaller deck size, discarding from your hand or deck is not ideal. But a 4 to deploy leader is very aggressive. If you play in Cunning with a Cunning base and you pull Volt Scarus's Defender, you could really put a lot of pressure on your opponent. Or let's say you get a few credit tokens going early as well and you deploy and have 2 credit tokens. Well, if you have a Sontool Berserkers in your hand as well and get them out as well, whew, you could be looking at ending the game in the next couple turns. But you'll need to do that, as a lot of this leader synergy is around discarding from the deck, so you're going to have to win early with this leader and fast. But I think it's a solid high B, maybe A. I'll have to think more. Okay, next let's look at the Cunning villainy leaders. First, from the Spotlight deck, let's look at Jabba the Hutt. Jabba at first looks like it would be hard to get their ability going in a pre-release build. But if you do get 5 or 6 Underworld trait cards, Jabba could be a bomb. First, he deploys on 6 resources as a 3 power, 9 HP. That's right, 9 HP leader unit. That's crazy. In a pre-release tournament, that will be very difficult to get off the board. His leader side ability of action, exhaust 1 resource, and return a friendly Underworld unit to its owner's hand and create a credit token is good, but situational, as you need board presence. But when Jabba deploys, their leader unit ability is action play and play an Underworld unit from your hand. If you defeated a credit while paying its cost, that unit gains ambush for this phase. Okay. That right there, if you're ambushing units in, that's going to be really hard for your opponent to deal with. Especially if you get those Underworld trait cards in your pool. And if you do, you can dominate board presence. Big body out there as well. Yeah, I think Jabba is definitely an A tier leader. But I don't think he's better than Krennic. All right, let's look at the client next. a 5 resource to deploy leader with a 4 power, 4 HP stat line. His leader side ability reads action, exhaust. If you created a token this phase, exhaust an enemy unit. Okay, his stat line is atrocious, but he does deploy shielded, which is nice. The good thing about this, his leader side ability, is it just says token, which does make their exhaust capability more likely to occur, but he deploys with just the shield and the same ability as the leader side, but on attack. Yeah, this feels like a very situational leader, so I'm going to say they are a C tier at best. All right, let's look at the 2 new leaders that do not have heroism or villainy as an aspect color, Saw Gerrera and Tobias Beckett. So we got Saw first. Saw comes in under the command aggression aspect ratio with a leader side ability that reads action, exhaust, attack with a unit. It gets +2, +0, and gains overwhelm for this attack. After completing this attack, defeat it. So this leader is very interesting to me. I keep strategizing in my head on how to best take advantage of his ability. What I think would be really cool is to stack the deck with low-cost units that do something when entering play and exiting play, hopefully, to try and minimize impact by slamming into your opponent's units, looking to control the board to get to Saw's deployed phase, hoping that the overwhelm damage, coupled with Saw's double attack ability on their leader unit side, is enough to end the game, especially if you can play into that curve of 6 resources when he deploys and have something like Asajj Ventress ready to attack if Saw survives, or if you have a cunning base, you could look to play Maz Kanata. If you're lucky enough to pull it, she is a legendary, so not very likely. But if he did, Saw could attack with Overwhelm, and if he survives, Maz could attack, and if she survives, you can search the top 5 cards of your deck for an Underworld unit, play it. It costs 4 less and enters play ready. I mean, you see where I'm going with this. Leader could start doing some crazy, weird stuff. Not likely to happen on a pre-release. So I think that Saw is going to be better in Premiere, but still, even if you could get a couple of these synergies going, this leader is going to be really hard to deal with. Yeah, so he's very situational, but if you do get those few cards that can synergize with his ability, the 2-for-1 damage could be killer. So I think that he is definitively a high B leader. All right, let's look at Tobias Beckett. To me, at least, this is the quirkiest leader FFG has introduced to Star Wars Unlimited so far. He's just so interesting in terms of strategies that could potentially be used in a deck. A cunning vigilance leader that deploys on 5 resources with a 4 power, 6 HP stat line, which is not that bad at all strategy-wise. I instantly think of just jamming the deck full of units to give the opponent that do not impact me or whoever's using him as a leader. Like 0 power units that have a win played ability that you've already taken advantage of. For instance, and I'm pretty sure a unit that has a when played and when defeated ability would pay out when you deploy Tobias as well. I have not had that come up the few times I've tested this leader, to be honest. So if anybody has, drop a comment. But to be honest, I'm surprised that it has not happened with the Val unit. Anyways, but with the command-based units like Lots Razi, Profiteering Hunter, or Expendable Mercenary could be good options. The Max Rebo Band could be good as well for that 1 extra token when Tobias deploys. If you pull units with your pull, your card pool like Val, Rio Durant, Champion KT9 Pod Racer, could really impact the board in your favor and look to give your opponent those units until you can deploy on 5 resources. On that deploy turn, if you have access to 8 or 9 resources with your credit tokens and you're pulling cards, you could potentially be drawing 3 to 4 cards as well. You could look to play like the Blade Wing if you have it for 6 resources, help control the board, as well with its ability to return a non-leader unit to its owner hand. That's how you can help, control that board tempo. Or if you're lucky enough to get in your card pool that the Industrious Team unit to deploy at 8 resources, you could impact the board as well with its ability to defeat a non-leader unit with 4 or less remaining HP. That could be good. I mean, this leader could be really good, especially if you get some cards that really work with his deploy phase ability. But he's kind of situational still. Judgment, high B tier. And I think he's better than Sebulba. Okay, let's look at the heroism aspect leaders now. First, the vigilance heroism leaders. And let's look at Jin Ursa first. She's a 5 resource leader that deploys with a 3 power, 6 HP stat line as a leader unit. Her leader side ability reads action, exhaust, and pay 1 resource. If a friendly rebel unit was defeated this phase, search the top 3 cards of your deck for a card and draw it. Put the others on the bottom of your deck in a random order. And her leader unit side ability is the same, except it triggers on attack. I mean, I want this leader to be good. In a premiere, I think she could really be amazing. And she'd be good in pre-release too, but I think you have to pull a bunch of those rebel units. This just won't work. And her stat line isn't amazing either. So I think this leader is mid unless you pull like the Kanan Jarrus or the Jin Urso unit card and go the cunning route for your base. But a very situational leader for pre-release, I think, and I could be wrong. So I think I'm gonna put her low B tier. Yeah, I think she's that way. All right, let's look at Val Sartha next. In a pre-release scenario, I actually don't think her leader ability is that bad, as you can choose when to do so to benefit you the most. That being said, she isn't over the top in terms of stats as a 4 power, 7 HP leader unit. Her ability reads action, exhaust, give an experience token to a unit. An opponent creates a credit token. And her leader unit ability is the same, except it triggers on an attack. I mean, at least she can just give the experience token to herself when she deploys to hopefully hit him for 5 damage. But overall, I'm not seeing how this leader can work unless you can draw a lot of the cards in your pool that can shut down credit tokens. I think she belongs in the D tier. All right, let's look at the aggression heroism leaders, starting with Chewbacca. Okay, a leader that deploys on 4 resources. 4, yeah, that's very aggressive. So Chewbacca also deploys as a 5 power, 6 HP unit, which for 4 resources is crazy. The leader side ability reads action, exhaust, pay 1 resource, defeat a friendly resource. There's the kicker. Deal 2 damage to a unit, and create a credit token. And once deployed, Chewbacca has the same ability on attack. Again, allowing the player the option to defeat the friendly resource to create a credit token. I mean, this leader is just so interesting. With a command base, you could look to take advantage of the when defeated text with units like Scarif Lieutenant, Benthic 2 Tubes, Honor-Bound Partisan, and Expendable Mercenary. I mean, I like this leader. I don't want my bias to skew the tier placement. Still, I think this is a solid leader for pre-release build. If you can get some solid cards in your draw pool that lets you take advantage of Chewbacca's ability and you just go aggressive right at their base, yeah, I think he's an A for me. I think he's better than Jabba. All right, let's look at Infus Nest next. And little aside, this is the leader I've definitely played the most. Really interested in this leader as well. And I've done quite well with the double attack. I mean, I'm still trying to fine tune it. There's certain decks that she's just not good against, but she deploys on 5 resources with a 3 power, 7 HP stat line, which is pretty good. Her leader side ability reads, when you use an attack ability, you may pay 2 resources and exhaust this leader. If you do, use that ability again. Okay, this leader has the potential to really control the board. If you can pull units like Cloud Rider, Veteran, or Weasel, both 2 resource units, you could really wreck a pre-release opponent. couple it with a cutting base, and you could throw down units like K2SO, Scavenging Sandcrawler, the Lieutenant Gorn unit, or try to finish the game off with the Epic if you can pull it, because it's a legendary Liberty capital ship. That's a 9 power, 7 HP Sentinel space unit. No, I think you'd need some credit token help there to get that one out, but we can always dream. But overall, this leader is good in Premier and Limited. The first S tier leader, in my opinion. But remember, these are just my opinion. But I actually think, yeah, I think Krennic needs to be up there as well. Okay, so we're almost done. Let's look at the old buddies, Han Solo and Lando Calrissian. All right. They come in under the Cunning Heroism aspect ratio. And Han Solo costs 5 resources to deploy and comes in with a 4 power, 5 HP stat line, and has the following ability: Action, Exhaust, defeat a friendly token, deal 1 damage to a unit. I'm just going to be honest. It's nice to see a Han Solo leader card that's kind of not good. I'm tired of playing Han Solo leaders. His stat line is just okay, and his leader side ability is also just okay. I mean, I guess the saving grace is it says friendly token, which at least gives you options. The leader unit side gives Han Saboteur, and on attack, defeat any number of friendly tokens. Deal damage to a unit equal to the number of tokens defeated this way. That's a decent ability. But I think that's something more that you're going to have to work up with Premier and a specific strategy. As I think it'll take a very, it'll take a specific strategy to build that to get to work effectively. This is a low C tier leader for me. And next, the caped scoundrel himself, Lando Calrissian. A 6 resource to deploy leader. It comes down with a 4 power, 7 HP stat line, which is okay. Their leader side ability reads: Action, exhaust to pay 1 resource, choose an aspect, then discard a card from a deck. If it has the chosen aspect, create a credit token. Okay, first, this really is almost broken in my opinion for a pre-release tourney. I mean, just who cares if you get a credit token? Just make your opponent discard. Making your opponent, yeah, that's brutal. Because most deck builds in pre-release are 30 cards. His leader unit side reads: when deployed, you may defeat a friendly credit token. If you do, create 3 credit tokens. So a 2 surplus to your 6 resources to deploy is awesome. I mean, within an aggression base, you could look to turn the Luke Skywalker unit when you deploy, or the Chrysanthemum unit, both of which will cause some chaos for your opponent's board. If you went the command base route, you could look at cards like Beach Patrol AT-ACT, the Sarlacc of Carcoon, or what I think is one of the best cards in the set, if not the best card, the new Rey unit. Her unit is legendary, though, so don't count on pulling that card. But if you do, woo! Nevertheless, Lando is a very solid leader, and I can see this leader doing well in whatever format you play it in. So I think befitting someone known for such elegant capes, Lando belongs in the tippy top and is S tier worthy. I think he's better than Krennic too. I actually think he's better than Infus Nest for pre-release. Okay, and finally, our last 2 leaders under the Command Heroism aspect ratio. First, Leia Organa, one of the Spotlight deck leaders. So one you can always plan for, but, and this pains me to say this, why would you? For Limited, this leader is terrible. Her deployment stat line is garbage, and her leader side ability, if it didn't cost 2 resources, would be great, but at 2 resources, it's just too slow. In a pre-release event, she might be able to do some things, but again, that will depend on pulling the really good multi-aspect cards as well. I mean, as I said before, it pains me to say it, Leia is one of my favorite Star Wars characters, but she is a low C tier, if not high D tier leader. Let's be nice. Finally, my bias showing through as I am a massive Rebel fan. Let's look at Hera Syndulla, a 5 resource to deploy leader with the ability that states while you control 2 or more units, ignore the aspect penalties on heroism units you play. When she deploys, she comes down with a 3 power, 6 HP stat line. And when deployed, she gains Restore 1 and the same ability as her leader side. I mean, with her, I'd play a cunning base personally. I'd want to put out low-cost units to take advantage of her leader ability as quickly as possible. Units like Alliance X-Wing, Wookiee Gorilla, Rookie Rocket Jumper, or Masasi Group Marines. If you can take advantage of her leader ability, and you're lucky enough to pull, cards like Zebarelios, Baze Malbus, or Kanan Jarrus, you could really be in the driver's seat. Hera's effectiveness as a leader will depend heavily on card pool. But with some of those cards I mentioned, she could be very good in a pre-release event. Final grade for one of my favorite characters. She's definitely a B tier character. I think she goes right about in the middle. Well, there it is, a long video for sure. I appreciate you watching if you've stayed to the end, but I think it is worth it as we look to plan and start strategizing for pre-release events starting probably this Friday. I mean, I know I'm going to one Friday night, hoping to go to one on Saturday as well. These are just for fun. Please don't kill me on my choices. This is purely, like I said, to start strategizing and just thinking about these cards overall, start noodling in the old head about what kind of strategies we might be able to employ in a pre-release event. So thank you for watching. And please take a moment, help our channel grow, give our video a like, and most importantly, subscribe to our channel and join our little rebellion in support of this game we love, Star Wars Unlimited. Thank you for tuning in, and that's us blasting off to hyperspace. Bye.